daunting.
She's in it for the art. She believed in the project enough to suffer through it.
She's had one of the most...
For a year, she did 8 hours a day of ballet training and transformed her body, her soul, her spirit into another human being.
She gave this ferocious kind of dedication to a role that she knew was one of the great roles that she was going to have in a long time. You know the way you would say a hungry beast devours the carcass, won't leave a scrap on the bone? That's the way she felt about that character.
Preparation for this character would demand an arduous physical transformation.
She definitely brought herself to a ballerina size, which is almost like frighteningly small.
Your muscles can only take so much, so just having to keep our bodies warm in a cold environment, keep our ankles warm, our feet warm with our pointe shoes.
She's in it for the art. She believed in the project enough to suffer through it.
Her fierce dedication came at a cost.
She had a mini concussion from the fight scene where she had to go to the hospital and get a CAT scan, and I know that one of her ribs did go beneath another one, so she dislocated it, and she was in a lot of pain. And she had to do it take after take after take.
Eventually, though, something had to give.
There was one scene where I know that she kind of broke down, and she was crying, and she and Darren exchanged words. She learned that we didn't even have a medic on set because we couldn't even afford it. And she was like, "You don't even have a medic on set? Like, I don't even think that that's legal." So she said, "Take away my trailer before you take away a medic." The next day, her trailer was gone.
Despite her injuries and on-set challenges, the actress persevered.
First time I met with Natalie Portman was probably, I don't know, something like 10 years ago.
This movie was very much a meeting of minds between Natalie and Darren. It was kind of stewing within each of them.
We had a coffee in Times Square, and there was a lot of ideas. I knew I wanted to do something in the ballet world.
It was in the ballet world, which is a world I was really interested in. But the fact that the character is sort of dealing with her own identity and her identity as an artist was obviously really interesting as an artist to sort of think about and explore.
Nobody thought Black Swan had box office smash written all over it, even the people who made it. They were scared going into it, and a lot of what made it happen was Portman's dedication.
But before filming would begin, Natalie would have to dedicate a year in training to become Nina.
A fledgling ballerina might get her big break at 19, 20, or 21. So when Natalie Portman took this role at 29, right there, it was at the outer limits of what would be acceptable for her to do this.
Ballet is one of the hardest, if not the hardest, art form, and you can't fake it.
Darren, he was asking her, "Do you think you're going to be able to dance and act at the same time?" And I remember her saying, "No. I can't at this point." She realized that in order to portray a ballet dancer legitimately, she was going to have a certain body type. Ballet particularly requires girls to be thin.
I started training for the film a year before shooting began, and we worked out like 5 hours a day, doing about 3 hours of ballet. We would swim a mile, and then we'd tone.
She was working to get her arms very toned, just doing free weights. She was doing a lot of gyrotonics. She was doing everything she could to get the body of a ballet dancer.
I really didn't know she could pull off the ballet. I was getting nervous because she was improving, but she was really far away.
Natalie's training intensified when she began working with choreographer Benjamin Millepied.
He was brought in as a technical advisor. He ended up playing a small part in the movie as her dance partner.
She was on a very strict schedule. She would coach with myself and Georgina Parkinson and Benjamin when he was in town, and we'd work on the actual choreography sequences.
Natalie would ultimately lose 20 pounds in preparation for the role.
She definitely brought herself to a ballerina size, which is almost like frighteningly small.
She changed her whole body, and she had to because she's short, and dancers are supposed to be long and narrow. And to transform herself into that, she underwent a sculpting process, almost like in the opposite direction, Robert De Niro in Raging Bull.
It was amazing the 2 months prior to filming how much her body changed. By the time we started filming, she looked like a professional dancer.
Something clicked for her, and she suddenly started to capture the grace of it. And I think it was just she really amped up the training. I mean, she worked really, really, really hard.
Natalie's dedication would be tested to its limits when filming commenced in December of 2009.
When we started filming Black Swan in Purchase, New York, it was the dead of winter, ultra cold, unheated, uninsulated. There were some heaters that people would set up, but those would have to get shut off once filming started just because of the sound.
Your muscles can only take so much, so just having to keep our bodies warm in a cold environment. You know, we're not dressed, we're in ballet suits.
You can't dance on a full stomach, and there wasn't even time to eat a lot of these days. You know, it was just hammering out probably 6 or 7 scenes on any given day.
And then there were injuries.
I dislocated a rib. One of my ribs went under another rib while I was being lifted at one point. So that was tough because sort of from the middle of the film on, I couldn't really take a deep breath.
She was in a lot of pain. Even dancing by herself, she was in pain because her diaphragm would be, you know, kind of in spasm. Once we got to some of the partnering things, luckily Benjamin was able to kind of shift around some of the grips. So instead of being around her back, which would have pushed right on that rib, he made certain things under her armpits.
The two formed a bond.
I could sense a flirtation budding between Benjamin and Natalie at the start of filming. Darren very much wanted no romance on set just because he knew that what a feat this was going to be to get the movie made anyway, and he didn't want to pull anyone's attention one way or the other.
Natalie had to juggle the physical demands of playing a ballerina while performing the complex character that was Nina.
She had to wear these very uncomfortable contacts, and she had no peripheral vision. She looked blind to me, and it was a little scary because it's not something that you can fake doing that choreography.
I remember just how raw it was and how emotionally disturbing it was. Beautiful all at the same time. Truly amazing moment to see her literally turn from the white swan to the black swan.
I was watching the monitor with Darren and Benjamin Millepied, and when she finally did it and she had this whole different persona than we had seen prior to that, we started laughing and clapping our hands like it was brilliant.
For Black Swan, Natalie was awarded with acting's highest honor, an Academy Award.
It feels very, very dreamlike right now. I don't really know where I am, I suppose.
I was so thrilled for her. It's what every actress dreams of.
Natalie Portman won not only the Academy Award, I think the British Award, the Golden Globe Award. How many did Natalie Portman not win that year would be the real question.
But the rewards for Black Swan were not only career-changing, but life-changing.
Benjamin Millepied, who also partnered me in the film, and now partners me in life.
Natalie's romance with Benjamin Millepied blossomed. They announced their engagement, and on June 14, 2011, Natalie gave birth to a son, Olive.
She met her soulmate, and she had her first baby. And that's way more important than any Academy Award.
Benjamin's an amazing artist, and he's so likable and charismatic and a smart guy. So I think that they're a fantastic couple. They complete each other in very complementary ways, though they're not both dancers or both actors. I think that's a strong point to their relationship.